have been carrying the Paul Leitner-Wise G2 heavy-duty buffer retaining pins for quite some time now, and I've been using them in my guns for 4, maybe 5, even 6 years, and we're big fans of them, so we've been offering them on the website. We actually have become good friends with Paul over the years. Jared's actually known him for a lot longer than I have, and I just kind of have been eating up all the information that I can get from him and testing it out all myself. But through the years of getting to know Paul and getting to see his history within the gun industry that you may or may not be aware of, there's a lot of really cool things that he's done. And now we've had enough time behind a lot of these products that we truly believe in them because we've seen the data, we've tested the data ourselves, and we've experienced all these benefits ourselves. Now we're offering to you a complete suite of Paul Leitner-Wise products. Starting out, we have the precision cam pins. We are now offering the combat match bolt. And last but not least, we are selling the titanium firing pins. So we've put lots of rounds, probably thousands upon thousands of rounds now, utilizing all of these in a few different weapon systems. And we've tested them individually, eliminated different variables, and got a lot of data that we could collect from them. And we have seen substantial benefits. So I'm gonna do a deep dive into the why behind these products, the benefits, some of the information that we've received from Paul, the testing that we've done so ourselves, and just kind of really understand why we are using these, why we're offering them, so that way you can make the best decision to go and fit your needs. So to start out, the G2 heavy-duty buffer retaining pin. We've been selling these for quite some time, as I mentioned before. But the main reason that we carry these is it's a really simple upgrade that's just going to go and increase the reliability of your weapon system. Technically, and I know this because a lot of people have commented it and told me about this, but technically you could not have a buffer retaining pin if you really wanted to get into the weeds about it. But the reality of not having that is if you have to field strip your gun, you now have to fight with your buffer spring and your buffer weight, and it can potentially cause some malfunctions through there. So I don't love that system. The main reason being is we use law tactical folders on almost all of our weapon systems. So if I'm gonna have that exposed, there's no way that I can operate the gun without a buffer retaining pin. And to rely on something that's such a small little pin that can shear off really easily, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So this is one of the first little upgrades that you can do. It's just a really easy peace of mind kind of upgrade through here. If you think that your gun works better without a buffer retaining pin, then don't use a buffer retaining pin. But for a lot of different reasons, including law folders, easier field maintenance, field stripping, etc., it makes a lot of sense to us, and that's why we carry it. Next up in the lineup, we have the precision cam pins. So these are a chrome-plated cam pin, which is going to go help increase some of that durability, which is great. But one of the main things that they did is they engineered this from the ground up. They looked at how can we solve the problem of cam pins if we were to design them from the start and not just take an existing design and refine it. So they fixed a lot of the tolerances, and they actually rounded off the area that's going to make contact with your upper receiver. They added an arrow on the top so that way you know exactly how to install it every single time, and it's going to build up consistency the direction of that. The primary benefit of something like this is it's going to build up consistency in your cycling and in your lockup. Everything, well, as far as these upgrades are concerned, has to do with precision. There's a component of it that's reliability, but primarily consistency and precision. If you're going to build any weapon system and you want it to be accurate, it needs to be consistent. If it's inconsistent, you're going to lose a lot of that accuracy. If you go and put on target and you know 100% that that round's going to impact there because the gun's going to cycle the same and it's going to shoot the same every time, you can be very accurate with it. If that gun's going to do different things every time, you don't know what's going to change and you can't react accordingly, and you're going to lose some of that accuracy. So consistency is everything. By having these rounded edges, by having the tolerances that are built up to this, you know that every single time that that gun goes off, whether you're manually cycling it or it's cycling from fire, it's going to go build up a really consistent and reliable lockup. So that way you're not going and adding any extra variables through there, you're not going to get different dwell time, your splits are going to be very consistent, and it's going to build up that reliability through consistency. Next up in the lineup is the combat match bolt. What Paul and his team did differently here is they looked at the tolerances of chambers, they looked at the tolerances of bolts and of bolt carrier groups, and they went through and they just looked at how much they could refine the existing design here. And the reason being is they wanted to build up a better lockup, better dwell time, better consistency and precision, so that way every time that you fire that rifle, you're going to get the best accuracy you can possibly get. So they did so by tightening up the tolerances on a lot of these things. They spent a lot of time working with manufacturers to go and get this dialed to the point where they could get tolerance specs that you can't get from any of the other bolt manufacturers right now. Or that if you could get it, they just don't care about it, so they don't put the time to it. So if you think about tolerances and different dimensions through to go meet mil-spec standards, there's a lot of slop that can happen between your chamber and between your bolt face and the bolt lugs. And so what Paul did is he went to go build up the most consistency that he could build and eliminate the most amount of variables he could eliminate through the bolt that'll work with all existing chambers from the few manufacturers that produce those. So what this does in turn is it builds up a better lockup, better dwell time, and a lot more consistency through there, which in turn yields better precision. I'm going to put all the specs right here, or Ben's going to put them in here for me, and that's going to go give you a deep breakdown for anyone who wants to get into the weeds about the actual numbers between a normal bolt and the combat match bolts. We got out and we put a lot of time behind these to actually see the differences. And so we took headspace bolts from manufacturers like BCM, and we went and compared them to see what kind of accuracy differences that we could get. And we found that there was a substantial accuracy change. Some of that could have been guns and barrels, so we can't necessarily say the exact numbers behind it. But what we did see is a noticeable shift between switching just bolts in our guns. So guns that might be 1.5 MOA got down to 1 MOA in some instances. Guns that were at 1 MOA got down to 0.75 MOA, or kind of rough numbers through there. Paul has a lot of different testing standards and data that he can go and put out and has put out before. Ours is always kind of changing because we're using different ammos, we're using different guns, different barrels, and we're not necessarily testing to the same degree that someone who has thousands upon thousands of barrels would go and do for a weapons test. But that's stuff that Paul and his team are going through, and they're putting a lot of effort into that. But for our limited tests, which I think are more than reasonable for most people, we found noticeable precision gains in all of the guns that we had swapped these over to with different ammo types, with the same ammo types, and we tested all those variabilities. We also found that the guns had a little bit less deviation between shots too, just because of consistency through and lockup through there. So a lot of really good positive benefits from this, and it's at a really affordable price compared to some of the other luxury bolts that are out there. Next in the lineup, we have Paul Leitner-Wise titanium firing pins. Now, if you know anything about steel versus titanium, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, hey, that's a terrible idea. Titanium firing pins are going to mushroom, and they're not rated the same impact rating as a steel firing pin. And you're not wrong. That's absolutely true. And a straight up titanium firing pin would have failures at a much faster rate than a stainless steel firing pin. So what Paul and his team did is they nitrided this, then they chrome plated it. So now you're getting the same mil-spec standards that you know and need from a stainless steel firing pin in a titanium firing pin. So one of the first benefits of a titanium firing pin, specifically from PLW, is that it's going to go reduce your lock time. So by having a lighter weight firing pin, when your hammer is going to go and impact that, because it lays less, you're going to have a shorter, basically, lock time between there. So the amount of time between the firing pin being impacted by the hammer and it going and impacting your primer is going to be less time. The other main benefit about having a lighter titanium firing pin through here is the odds of you having a slam fire drastically goes down. You have less momentum and weight that can be moved through here. So if you were to ever drop your rifle, the odds of it slam firing go down drastically because there's less momentum and inertia that can go through and break that ignite that primer. So one of the other key benefits of a really light firing pin is that it means that you can use lighter triggers and have more reliability and prevent light primer strikes. Because you have a lighter trigger, there's going to be a little bit less impact onto that firing pin. So if the firing pin's a little bit heavier and you have harder cased primers or anything like that, this is going to go and help give you that reliability. That's especially important when it comes to splits or any sort of like machine gun fire. It's going to go and increase that reliability as the gun's cycling. So it's going to go give you a much more reliable system overall because you're not having to worry about a light primer strike through there. So overall, decreased weight for your overall weapon system. Nothing too crazy, but half the weight of a stainless steel pin is a lot. Reduces lock time, increases reliability, increases primer strike reliability, and on top of all of that, you can use lighter triggers, and you don't have to worry about safety if you're to drop your rifle because you're not going to go and have enough weight and momentum through it to go and impact your primer enough to go and ignite it. So a lot of really great benefits out of these. Again, we've been testing these in machine guns and in just SBRs and in precision rifles and all sorts of different things, and we've seen lots of benefits out of it. When we were having reliability issues with some guns, this was one of the first things that we swapped in, and we found that all the light primer strikes went away. So a lot of really great benefits from all of these. One thing else that I wanted to mention too, this is one of the bolts that I have all of these features in through here. And this is a bolt that I have none of those features in through here as well. And the main reason I wanted to show this was for the precision cam pin, and that you can see wear lines on both sides through here, because I've never necessarily known the direction of which this wants to go in through. So whenever I replaced this, it wasn't necessarily wearing consistently because it was going and being flipped over the times, all the times that I've cleaned this and worn this out. And this probably has the most rounds of any of my bolts through it. So another good reason to have the arrow through there, and again, to build up that precision. It's just going to be a much more reliable system through here. So lots of really good benefits from all these different features through here, but overall there's some weight reduction, there's a lot of consistency increase, which in turn leads to more precision, and precision at the end of the day is fantastic, especially if you're not having to sacrifice weight increase or anything of the like. So tons of benefits from here. Again, we've been using these in all of our weapon systems now. We've got a lot of testing behind that. You'll see it in some of our upcoming videos as well, of us utilizing these components and seeing accuracy tests and going out and showing them, so that way you can truly see these benefits too. But I highly recommend the whole suite of these products. I think it's just kind of an easy upgrade system that's relatively inexpensive for the benefits of it all. And it's just gonna, again, give you all the benefits that we just listed through here. But if one of these things stands out to you and the others don't, then go support that product. If none of those things are important to you, then keep rocking with what you got. We're not here to go and try to just push these products onto you and tell you that you need to buy them. We're just here to show you the benefits, explain the benefits, and the why behind the product. Paul is also a really great person and will take the time out of his day to go and give you the why behind things. If you're just gonna go comment and say that it's all bullshit, it's not. It's all backed by science and data. And he probably will ignore it if that's the case. But if you genuinely are curious and you want to know more about the systems and the data behind it, Paul's a great resource for you to go reach out to. You can also reach out to us and we can help give you the why behind that as well. But overall, some really great products. We're excited to see more of the stuff that comes out from Paul. We're excited to do some more things together, some collaboration, things of the like. So keep your eyes peeled. We've got a lot of cool things in store. Go subscribe to our YouTube if you're not already. It helps us. That way you can see this content, helps us grow that page. We're going to keep putting out a lot of cool data and information. Check out our newsletter and our blog. We go give a written version of some of these things. We'll add the YouTube videos in there. We'll release that content there first. Our Instagram, Facebook, and everything are great ways to stay active on our social too, see all the cool hype things that we're doing. And overall, thanks for your support. We hope that you guys try these out, and leave a comment below as to what you guys think. If you like them, if you've had your experiences behind it, we can't wait to see what you guys say.